welcome to our kitchen here in Brittany in northwest France. If you are here for the very first time, my name is Jane. My husband Michael is behind the camera. We are early retirees. We are debt and mortgage free, living off a pension and living a frugal and thrifty life. So let's take a look at what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're talking about the costs of Christmas in collaboration with some of my very favourite UK frugal YouTubers, and their links are below, and make sure you go there after this video. They'll be sharing all their hints and tips of how to save for and budget for Christmas. But today I'm going to be talking all about budgeting for food at Christmas. It's one area where people can overspend or choose to overspend, either way. But let's take a look at that today. There's been long the tradition, hasn't there, in the UK and with British people, that Christmas is a time of feasting. It's a time of lovely food and enjoying yourselves. And if that's what you've budgeted for, if that's what you like to do, why not? Why not enjoy it? I'm all for enjoying it if that's what you want to do. Lots of countries have different festivals and festivities where there's different food. Not so much in the UK, not so much for me as a British person, but at Christmas, we like to push the boat out. We like to put on a spread, don't we? But there is also the case that we can overspend if we're not careful. We can have food wastage if we're not careful. And we can end up with Christmas food leftovers in Tupperware boxes in the freezer till the end of January. And, you know, we may not want that, do we? So we do have the tradition of feasting at Christmas. I personally love it. So let's take a look at the ways that we can do that and have a good time, but within budget. Now, the first way to enjoy this wonderful time of year on a budget is just the same as the rest of the year, is to do some meal planning. Well, this year, especially for the UK, it's almost a 4-day Christmas. Christmas Eve is on Friday, and lots of people like to put on nice food on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day is the 25th. Now, you might be watching this in other countries and go, well, we just go back to work on the 26th. Not the UK. We have another day called Boxing Day. The day after Christmas is Boxing Day, another celebratory day. And then there's the Monday and the Tuesday, which are 2 bank holidays. So this year, hurrah, hurrah, but not maybe hurrah, hurrah for the budget. Christmas is 4 days. It's a 4-day celebration. So there's where you need to start doing your menu planning. What are you going to eat on Christmas Eve? Now, we always go really simple on Christmas Eve. Something light, maybe some soup, some bread rolls, maybe a few sandwiches, but we usually go really simple on Christmas Eve. You may want to push the boat out on Christmas Eve, but plan it, budget for it. Christmas Day, as British people, we love that gorgeous Christmas dinner, don't we? Boxing Day, we like to have our cold cuts, our buffet, and the next new day, you could just go back to normal, or you could be eating up those leftovers. But there's something for you to do in advance. We've got a 4 or 5 day Christmas this year, so that's something you can plan for. You can choose what you want to eat on those days, and you can start to set your budget for that. How much do you want to spend? What do you want to eat? And that can make it simpler. So it doesn't matter that it's Christmas or it's a holiday. You can still meal plan and you can still set your budget for that, so you know in advance what you're going to do and how much you're going to spend on it. Now every year the supermarkets gear up for Christmas and it seems to be really quite early. We were in the UK last week and it was evidently Christmas already. But we did notice, because we were having a good look round, because it's what you do when you go to a different country, you have a nose at the prices and what's available. Well, what is available at the moment are the reasonable size, smaller joints of meats. And they seem to disappear in December, and they seem to have great big joints of beef, big joints of pork, big boned and rolled legs of lamb, humongous great big turkeys. Whereas if you go there now, you will notice the frozen turkey crowns are there now, and they are very reasonably priced. I mean, I haven't been back to the UK in 3 years, and the last time I was there, a small turkey crown was about £10, and now they're about 13 to 15, so they haven't gone up that much. But I'll tell you what, those frozen turkeys, those frozen turkey crowns will be gone any day soon, and all the fancy frozen buffet food and Christmas party food will be in those freezers. So there is my first piece of advice if you want to stick to a budget. So for example, you might like to buy a gammon joint, which for anyone anywhere else, it's like a bacon joint instead of a ham that is roasted and sliced and eaten cold. You may want to buy a frozen turkey crown or even a frozen turkey, or you may want to get a pork joint, a lamb joint or a beef joint. But now is the time to get the smaller ones. You may want to get, if you are feeding a crowd, for example, you might want to spread that over the next few weeks. But a good piece of advice, especially with meat, and we do tend to buy, those of us who eat meat, I do know those of you don't, and that's fine, but those of us who do eat meat, we do tend to like to put on a big roast dinner, a big spread. So if you are going to buy the meat, buy it now whilst the smaller joints are there. Otherwise you may end up being in a situation where there are only the bigger pieces, and it's because it's just what they tend to sell more of, so it tends to what they have. So if you can, get your smaller pieces of meat now, pop them in the freezer, they'll be fine. We've got 2 months to go, so get your Christmas meat in early and you can buy the smaller joints, and it will be cheaper if you buy it now. Now it's 8 weeks until Christmas, but there may be things that you want to get and spread the cost over. Now, we eat something in the UK called mince pies. We make them with a sweet filling called mince meat, which is all kinds of dried fruit and sugary syrup, and it's a little treat and things that we cook at Christmas time. You might want to buy a jar of that 1 week. You might want to buy the crackers to eat with cheese the next. You might want to buy a couple of jars of pickles or chutneys. We like to have pickled onions at Christmas. We like to have different conserves. We like to have things like cranberry sauce. So to spread that out, because these have got a very good long shelf life. You could look at your list of things that you would need to have in your Christmas menu, because you've done your menu planning, that you could buy a couple, 2 or 3 of these a week to spread the cost of that. And yes, it might mean you might need to take a little €5, £5, $5 or whatever your currency is off your grocery shopping each week as you lead up to Christmas. But it will mean you won't have a lump of things to buy just before Christmas, and you can spread those out. So anything that you can buy. So now that, for example, I've got a list here I'm looking at here. Dried fruit, stuffing mixes, any of those things that you can buy and put yourself a little shelf in your pantry for those things to add to the Christmas meal, to add to the Christmas menu. Spread out the costs, buy a few a week. You've got 8 weeks to go. Now, a good budgeting idea at this time of year to see you through Christmas Another thing to do is to stock up on your staples. Noticed I said stock up, not stockpile. If you're anybody like me, we've got a little cupboard in the kitchen to put dry goods in. We don't have a cellar or a basement or anywhere like that, or even a garage with shelves in it. So most of us in our British homes, we don't have the space to store things. Nor do we have horrific weather. For example, we're not going to have weeks of storms or roads closed. So in the main, we don't tend to do that. But stock up. And again, because by the time we get to early November, middle of November, and definitely into December, the everyday things that we still need, there's less of them because the shelves are full of Christmas stock. And here's a funny little example that I've noticed. When it comes up to Christmas, your everyday, very cheap kitchen paper towels, for example, have gone. And the ones that are almost £1 more or €1 more with little red Santa Clauses on them or little novelty things on them. I mean, they're very sweet and I'm sure they're fun, but they're more expensive. So stock up on your staples. And I'm talking about another bag of flour. I'm talking about another bottle of cooking oil. I'm talking about popping another packet of butter in the freezer, or those type of everyday items. Are there the things that you could just get one more of, pop it away? And I'm looking at my list here. UHT milk and UHT cream are really good things to have in your stock cupboard. Porridge oats, stock cubes, those things. And the other part of how that will help your budget is some people get paid before Christmas. And they might spend a little bit. Hey, it's Christmas. We can ease up on the frugality once a year, can't we? But it is Christmas time, and some people might spend a little bit more, and then they have 6 weeks till the next payday because they get paid at the end of January. And having those extras in the cupboard help. But also, I've noticed, and they're very canny, those supermarkets, aren't they? And mark my words, the prices go up every year in December. Everything goes up in December. Every single item you can think of, from a biscuit to dunk in your tea to the bathroom tissues you buy. The prices tend to go up and then they bring them down again in January. But if you don't want to pay those extra prices and you don't want to run out, stock up, not stockpile, stock up, because the supermarkets reduce that stock at Christmas time because they've got all the Christmas items in there and you don't want to run out, nor do you want to pay those extra Christmas prices. With the best will in the world, even if you're menu planning and you're really writing your shopping list really carefully, I still think a great way of budgeting over Christmas is to plan for leftovers. So it's always good to have some pastry in the house, whether you make your own pastry or you buy some and pop it in the freezer. You're going to have that cold meat left over. You can make it into pies, you can make it into turnovers. If you have the vegetable spreads or the vegetarian butters, for example, and you have them in tubs, keep a few of those tubs. They're great things that you might have too much stock you've made for gravy that you can keep in them. It's a good time to get the foil in, the aluminium foil in advance, because over Christmas time they only have the really big stuff, don't they? So if you have that in, you can wrap things up and pop them in the freezer. If you're in the charity shop, you see a few Tupperware tubs or freezer storage tubs, and they're going at a very reasonable price. It's good to have a few of those in to keep items and freeze them, because you don't want to eat turkey 3 days, 4 days in a row, but it freezes really well. So with the best will in the world, and even though you do want to keep the portions into reasonable sizes, plan for the leftovers, because if you've got something to store it in and pop it in the freezer, it will save on any wastage. Now my final one about Christmas food on a budget is to have a think to yourself about the tables that may not have any food on them over Christmas time. One thing that Mike and I have done in years and years and years of doing this as well is to practice something called reverse Advent, which means over the Christmas period we try to give away 24 items. And what we've been doing with that for the last, I can't remember, Mike, you're on the other side of the camera, so about 10 years at least.
10 years or more probably.
10 years or more, is that over this time of year we've redoubled our efforts to give to the local food banks. And one of the best things that we found to do was to actually find out from them what do they want. And that can be different in different areas. And often over the Christmas period of time, Christmas time, they have good donations of food, but there are lots of other items at that time of year that they are very short of. And we found out one year they were very short of cleaning materials, tea, coffee, sugar, sanitary protection, but they were short of nappies, and they were short of baby food and things like that. So when we found out what they wanted, we were able to add a few more items to our budget, especially over the October, November and December period, where they get given plenty of food, but it's the other items that they found themselves short of. So that's my final part of it. If you can, put something aside each week to donate to the local food bank, because although it's a good time for a lot of people, it's not a good time for everybody, and every one of those donations will really help. So Mike and I have been reflecting on this, and we do enjoy Christmas, and we do set aside more food budget at Christmas time. We're British, we enjoy it. And we were discussing with the fact that we like to have plenty, but not excess. And I need to put a disclaimer in here. We've been laughing about this, that we have had cheese in the freezer and turkey in the freezer as an example at the end of January. So we have made those mistakes in the past, and we are better at that now. Here's an example. The two of us can't eat a whole roast chicken together, so we never buy a turkey anymore. It's just too big for the two of us. So we can still enjoy Christmas, we can still budget for it, we can still plan for it, but it's making sure that we don't have a fridge so stuffed that when we open the door, stuff falls out, or you can't shut the freezer. So enjoy Christmas, budget for it, plan it, eat, drink and be merry. But here's something I'm going to leave as my parting gift for you, is you don't have to be excessive. Christmas is just, this year in the UK, it's 4 days. Or in some places it's only 1 day and you're straight back to work again. But you don't have to bust your budget. You can stick to a budget and stick to your menu plan and still have lovely food at Christmas. Now, if you've enjoyed that, make sure that you give it a like. If you like our content and money saving, go on, hit the subscribe button. I love it when you comment, so this time I want you to share with us, what do you eat at Christmas and how do you budget for it? Just leaves me to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye for now.